It's me, Ari Dossett, in Rashid. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Listen, your leverage, not money, changes everything. There is a song from, I don't know, maybe 1980s, somewhere from 1980s, I believe, or maybe earlier. It's called Money Changes Everything. Well, let me tell you, that song is wrong. Let me tell you why. Money doesn't change anything. So you having more money does not change anything unless you have a leverage with the money. For example, let's say you get $1 million while you're locked up in prison. That means your account is frozen. Can you do something with 1 million? No, because you're in prison. Or let's say you let's say you have $10 million, but you're completely socially isolated. People don't even know who you are. And you end up stranded somewhere in a beach club in Costa Rica. You have no ID. The police is going to treat you like a drunken tourist and arrest you. Your money won't benefit you in such a situation. So understand this. Money is a tool. Okay? And it should be regarded as a tool. And a tool is handy in getting things done. But it doesn't mean that just because you have more of that tool, automatically everything changes for the better in your life. Or things automatically go smoother. For example, you could be a millionaire, want to buy land, for example, in India. And the Indian government may say, we want land here to stay for Indians. Doesn't matter how rich you are. Even the corrupt officials in India will say, hey, but we love our country, so we're going to do this. Unless you have a leverage over India, and now India has no choice but to give in to you. You see what I mean? Okay, let me share some social experiments that you can easily find also on YouTube and other places. There was this millionaire that walked, I'm not sure if it was LA or New York, but anyway, he walked in some American city. He was dressed like a homeless guy. And he walked around smiling, talking to people, and people kind of ignored him. Some people even treated him dirty. Then suddenly he walked back, past those same people, with the keys to his, I think it was a Ferrari or whatever, some expensive car, and he went in and drove away. And you should see the look on the people's faces. They were shocked. There was another social experiment done by Cristiano Ronaldo, this Portuguese football player. He was also dressed as a homeless guy, playing with the football. Nobody wanted to see him. However, this little boy began to play football with him, and eventually began to give a signature to the football. Then took off the mask. All of that was people like, "Whoa, Cristiano Ronaldo!" The crowd began to jump on him, filled with affection. He just walked off. Then there was this other social experiment. There was this guy dressed as a construction worker asking a woman for a number, for a date. The woman just walked away in a rude way, didn't even regard the guy. Then later, the same guy was driving this expensive car, and suddenly the woman totally forgot she saw this guy before. And the guy told her, listen, I'm the same guy you refused before, right? What I'm saying is that these social experiments reveal one thing. It's not the money, it's the leverage. Because maybe you don't own that Ferrari or that big car, but you're able to lease it or you have permission to drive in it. The fact alone you're driving in it means that you either own it or you have people that you're friends with or would trust you to allow you to drive in it. So that's the perception. You're perceived as someone with a leverage. And that, on a psychological level, will make people treat you better. Why? Because when you have a leverage, either on a social level or not only financial, but also financial, social, but in general, if you have a leverage in the community, that leverage can also turn against people. And nobody wants someone that's stronger than them in an area to turn against them. So if people perceive you have a leverage, it means also perceive you have strength. Your strength may not be absolute, absolutely not, because you're not God. You're still a vulnerable and fragile human being, but if you have a leverage in daily life and people perceive that leverage as a leverage, they will treat you better. They'll watch their mouth. They'll watch how they treat you. You can have a narcissist who treats his own wife and children as trash. But at the workplace, he's so-called the sweetest man you've ever seen. Yes, sir, yes, and how are you doing? Such a nice and great performance. But is that who he really is? No. Because he knows if he acts retarded and negative at work, he'll be fired. He may even end up on a blacklist. If he ends up on a blacklist, he can't get a job anywhere. He ends up homeless in the streets. And he knows once you become homeless, people don't even look at you anymore. So because he's afraid of becoming homeless, he will not cross nor upset people with a leverage over him. So he'll give his best act to the people who have a leverage over him. For example, you may see a guy walking down the street. He is singing, shouting, and you think, hold on a minute. Everyone here is annoyed by the guy doing that. But why is it I tell him to shut up or to be quiet? You know for sure if you would do that, they would say it. What you don't know is that this guy, you see walking around there, is adopted son of a multi-millionaire living there. And that multi-millionaire has assets in the banks and most of the companies in that community. So you get the picture. Mistreat or make uncomfortable that guy that's singing and shouting in the streets, who is an adopted son of that multi-millionaire. That multi-millionaire may get upset with you, feel bad about you, and because it's a leverage and he can use loopholes in the law, it's not going to work out well for you. And by the way, even if the multi-millionaire doesn't do anything against you, some of his supporters may think, hey, you don't know who this guy is? Don't you know who's adopted son that is? So because people already can feel that acting out against that guy, shouting and screaming in the streets, will backfire on them, they'll put up with it. Eventually, they'll even begin to like him singing. Even though his singing quality may be low, they'll even enjoy it, forcefully. Because they know being upset with it is only going to backfire on them. Or it can be that you have this criminal breaking in, stealing, shoplifting, all of that. But he's never caught by the police. And even if he's arrested, he's released very quickly. Why? Because this criminal has receipts on a lot of bullshit of the public. And this criminal is friends with a hackers group who also has a lot of receipts on the public, embarrassing stuff. So the police, as well as the courthouse and the judges know, if this guy is arrested and put in prison, his activist group will release all this embarrassing information about the community. And once that happens, nobody is going to trust each other anymore. You're going to have escalation violence all over the community, and there's no police force can deal with it. So, calculating the costs, the prosecutors and the judge always order the release of that suspect. Even when the police are saying, hey, this guy is guilty, this guy is causing trouble, they'll release the guy. Why? Because that guy has a leverage over those people. So any other guy shoplifting would go to jail. But this guy shoplifting, they'll arrest him and release him because of his leverage, not because of his money, because he has no money. It's his leverage that counts. For example, you may see someone walking around in a horrible looking dress, but because she's the wife of one of your best friends, or because she's the wife of one of the older people in the community, you do not want to upset your best friend or some of those older people in the community, because that will work out badly for you. So even though you think whatever weird dress is this, you will not tell them that you think it's a weird dress. You'll consider the feelings of that individual. Even people who are blunt would not just be blunt everywhere. If people were blunt or direct, notice that you have a leverage over them, they behave. Even violent narcissists know when to shut their mouth. I'm saying what it is. In this world, it's your leverage that matters. There was another meme online. Listen, memes often reveal the psychology of the masses, even if you don't agree with the meme. There was this meme of a guy saying, oh, this guy cheated on his wife. The CEO of that company cheated on his wife. They cheated. All these men cheated. And I didn't even cheat. Just look at another woman and you already want to leave me. Then in the meme, the other woman said, that guy has 200 million. That guy has a billion. The guy said, what do you have? Minus 200. And people laugh at the meme, but this meme reveals the psychology of worldly people. If you have a leverage, whether it's financial leverage, but it's not just financial, you have a leverage over the community in general. People will put up with the wrongs you're doing. Now, they won't put up with absolutely everything. There are certain extreme things people will not put up with, like, for example, murder or rape. And at least if it doesn't happen in front of them. Because there are times people do put up with your crimes. For example, child molestation. There are the child molesters out there with a leverage in the community and people put up with what they're doing. So I'm saying that there are certain crimes people will never put up with. But in general, people will only intervene if you go extremely too far in their face. If you have a leverage in the community, people will put up with your wrongs. Because calling out your wrongs will disrupt the ease in the community and it will trigger more conflict. Anybody wants more conflict. So look, if you want to get ahead in life safely, without much trouble, you need a leverage over other people. You need a leverage over the community. Look, in the world, they misuse their leverage over you. And that's what we call violence. Violence is when you misuse your leverage at the expense of other people just to escape. That is violence. There's no way we can ever approve that. And even there, you have to realize that violent people, they have some intelligence. Now, they're not wise, because if they were wise, they wouldn't be violent, but they have intelligence. They have intelligence, I mean. If you have a robber that wants to rob a shop, he can't go there with his bare hands saying, give me the money to the cashier. Cashier will just call the cops on him, or the cashier may even kick him out of the store, himself, herself. However, if he comes with a loaded gun, that weapon is a physical leverage he has at the expense of other people. So when people see the gun, they know to shut their mouth and not challenge him. Or if you have someone jumping on you and they're physically heavier and taller than you, and they tell you, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to beat you, or whatever. If they threaten you, they have to be quiet, or else you'll give in. Why? Because they have a physical leverage that can be used against you. If it's used against you, you'll be the one with physical damage. You may even die if they use a lot of physical violence on you. Unless you have a gun and you say, oh, what do you say? You want to beat me up if I don't shut my mouth? And you point the gun at them and you keep talking, guess what? They'll walk away because they realize, man, one bullet hitting them at the wrong place and they're dead. So they just walk away. It's leverage that counts in daily life. Now, I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating misuse your leverage over other people, like child molesters do, like murderers do, or what violent organizations do. I do not support that. What I do support is you using your leverage to get ahead in life, always considering the well-being of others too. Just realize that in life it's about your leverage. Some of you listening to this message, the only reason you're not set up and you're not in jail or in prison for something you didn't do is because there was some leverage you had through some association. Some of you, the only reason you got that job you have right now is because of your association. Maybe you were part of a fraternity during college, and because of that, you're perceived to have a leverage socially. And that's what the employer thought, you used to be part of a fraternity, so you know how to operate in a team well, so they gave you the job. You're not part of the fraternity anymore, no sorority anymore. That's long gone. You don't even talk to people anymore. But you, being a member of a fraternity, sorority in the past, was now a leverage you had in getting that job. Some men, the only reason why their wives ain't leaving them for another guy is because the guy has a leverage. His leverage is his good character. Good character can be a leverage. If you have good quality and someone leaves you, it's going to look bad on them. So some people stay loyal to you because they have no choice. Because if they leave you, it's going to look bad on them and they can never recover from that loss of credibility. Now, I don't support you being in a marriage where someone stays with you just because the other option abandon you is too costly. That's a horrible situation to be in. But just so you know, some marriages out there lost because one of the partners don't even dare to think about cheating because they know it will look bad on them. And once they do that, they can't take back time. It's over. And here's another thing I want to tell you. Narcissists in general have a leverage over the community. Why? Because narcissists can clearly see the neglect of the community. And because narcissists are aware of the community's neglect, and because the narcissists often act on the community's neglect, and then the community wants to address them, the narcissist has something to say to them, to expose them. So that's why often people get upset with narcissists, but they still give narcissists space to do whatever they're doing. Listen, in life it's about leverage. And that's why Christ gives believers power. Christ does not give us leverage only. He gives us power over all the evil on the earth. And we have to use this power to overcome and overrule evil and harm on the earth. This is what we ought to do as believers. Just realize that if you don't have any leverage anywhere, listen, you have no guarantees. Your guarantees in life are bound to the leverage you have. The believer walking in the resurrection power has guarantees that things will work out in their favor all the time. But it's only because you walk in the power, and then walk in the power becomes the great leverage in every circumstance in life. Listen, stop being so obsessed with money, want to get more money, or want to earn more money. You can have billions and still fail in life over and over again. It's about your leverage. When people have no other option but to give in to you, they'll give in, even if they don't want to. That's how simple it is. Because even the most narcissistic creep out there will not dare to upset someone or a group of people who have a big leverage over them. So, obtain or your leverage and grow your leverage. That is what it's about. If you understand this, you are far ahead in life, because there are people who graduate with master degrees and who don't understand this. Well, that's it for now. Keep on in Christ and be at peace.